I remember being at college, like not university here in England. College is like the time between high school and university. We
Yeah.
do like 2 years, called out A levels, and
It's kind of like that in Canada because I'm actually
yeah,
originally
cool.
from the U.S. and in Canada they college is like a 2 year school that's usually like a technical school or like a hands-on type degree thing, and
Yeah,
university is if you're on a 4 year school.
yeah, right. Okay, so our universities are 3 year schools, and a college is 2 year school, and then school is like from age 4 to like 16.
Mhm.
So it's like 16, so then 17, 18, you go do your A levels, and then 18 to 21, you go to university.
Gotcha. Okay.
Um, and so yeah, I remember sitting there, and like by this point, I'm going to be an actor. Um, that's what I wanted to do. I was pretty talented at it. I knew I could do it. I was getting jobs here, there, and everywhere, little bits on TV and shows here and stuff. And I was in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, which caused a lot of jealousy
Oh, nice. Who were
amongst my
you?
peers. Oh,
My
I was
wife.
no one in particular. I was the guy who stood in front of the fire, my ears glow red. I was just an extra in it, but it caused a
were
lot of
you
jealousy, right?
were you on Doctor Who?
No, I wasn't. No, annoyingly. Somebody said to me once, you'd be a great Doctor Who, because the one thing about Doctor Who is they have to have an enigmatic smile. And he's
Yeah.
like, you've got an enigmatic smile. I was like, mate, I'd love to be Doctor Who.
You know,
I have worked with,
I'm gonna
go
post
on.
this clip. My wife is a huge Doctor Who fan and a huge Harry
Right.
Potter fan, so I'm gonna post this
Okay.
clip on YouTube and ask her opinion.
Okay. No worries. If I could be Doctor Who, I haven't got my scarf on, to be fair.
All right.
Um, and yeah,
Only
so
some of them wore scars.
yeah, right. I think I would have. I'd have probably wore scarves and brogues and a proper suit. Yeah, I'd have probably tried to make him a bit too much like James Bond, because let's face it, every little boy wants to be James Bond, right? Um, so yeah,
Maybe in England.
yeah, maybe not in America. Yeah, I can understand that. He's very big part of English society is Bond. So yeah, and I was headstrong on being an actor. Like everything I did from the age of about 14 to the age of 21, well, actually, even probably to now, it shaped my entire life. Was I'm going to be an actor. No matter what I do, I'm going to be an actor. And I was so headstrong with this. Like I set myself such high bars to achieve with acting, because you have to. Like I saw it as I had to treat myself like an athlete, as an actor. And yeah, and I remember one kid, and some guy was like, "You really think you're gonna be an actor, like at school?" And I was like, "Well, yeah. What, like, why not? What's stopping me?" And I was like, "Who's to say I can't be like Pierce Brosnan, or Tom Hardy, or I don't know, Colin Firth? Like, who's to say? Like, who defines that?" Like, and he just looked at me and went, "Yeah, but they're good looking." And I was like, "Oh, okay, thanks. Let's move
You
on."
know, everybody
So
said Daniel Craig was ugly, too ugly to be James Bond, and now everybody's
yeah, I
like
know.
he's like the best one, pretty much. Well, besides Sean Connery.
Hottest one there is. Yeah, yeah. Sean Connery is the Bond. You don't beat
Yeah.
Sean. But yeah, I know. It's just the way it goes, right? Well, anyway, it's just all these little comments all the way along, and it's just pure jealousy. Like I won an award at school for doing so well with acting, and the award was like my services to drama within the school. Like, because I was a big advocate of drama, I set up drama groups, and wanted to encourage it and all the rest of it. And one guy said to me, "How comes you got that? You don't deserve that." I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He was like, "What did you get it for?" I was like, "For services to drama within the school." He's like, "You just got it because you're in Harry Potter." I was like, "No, no, I didn't." It's just like, it was just this constant thing. People couldn't stand the fact that I knew what I wanted to do. I was very vociferous about it, because you had to be, because I was so determined to achieve it. And I had to probably adopt an element of arrogance about it in order to just stay resilient enough in order to achieve it. And yeah, and I think it just created a lot of animosity amongst people. Now you sort of come across them, and they're all really proud of sort of the little bits I've done and things. And I haven't had a huge career, but I've had a pretty successful career, considering when you look at my peers, and also when you look at like how many people in my year at drama school have dropped out and no longer acting and stuff like that. Like I'm still going, I'm still trying, but you have to be used to taking a lot of shit as an actor. Like I've probably auditioned for, I don't know, probably over 1,000 projects at this point, probably more. And I could probably tell you, I probably count the amount of actual jobs I've got on both hands. Like the amount of rejection you deal with day in and day out is hard, is really hard. And also that's how you get paid. Like I don't have to pass one audition to get paid. I have to pass an audition every time I want a paycheck as an actor. And that's hard work. Like, you can't take anything for granted. And you have to work your butt off every time you get sent a script, every time, you know, you get asked to do a scene, or every time you get told to go to this place, you know, you have to drop everything. You can't, like, it's impacted my entire life. Like, you know, I didn't take holidays for long periods of my life. I have never earned a professional wage, because I can't sign a contract, because I'm like, if the job comes in and I've got to fly to South Africa, or I've got to fly to, I don't know, now it's like fly to Sydney or fly to Melbourne or fly to California or whatever, I'm going. And no one wants to give you a professional wage, sign a full-time contract, give you proper hours, when they know that the second that job comes along, you might need, or even when the audition comes along, you might need 2 hours off in the working day to go to an audition and play around. And, you know, they just can't comprehend it. And I understand that. Like, that's not their fault. They have businesses to run. So it's why I've always had to learn to fend for myself, hence the drama schools, hence the, the coaching. And luckily, I've been very fortunate in my life that all of my clients and the employers who have trusted me, and, you know, I've done corporate work, I've done stuff like that. They've all understood my dream and helped facilitate it, for which I'm forever grateful for. And in many ways, the suffering at school has probably only made me a lot more grateful for those kind of angels in my life that have come along and supported me no matter what, and always made it work for me when I've needed it to.
So would you say that's kind of like analogous, where you said you have to show up every day for an acting role, and you have to show up to every audition, and you also have to show up every day, like once you're there. Would you say that's kind of analogous to now that you're a trainer, and you kind of have to, because I get this all the time, I think about this. You have to show up like all the time for every single client. Like, if you have a call with a client, like, you got to show up for that client, because it's like you're providing that client with an individual service at that specific moment. You need to be there for them at the top of your capacity. Do you see like a translation there from what you did in acting versus being a coach now?
Yeah, I do. I think there's more room in coaching for humanity than there is in acting. Like, you know,
that's
if I walk
interesting,
into a
because
room,
so many people say like you need humanity in your acting.
oh,
Right?
once you get the job, you need humanity in your acting. But like, I could walk into an audition room and I could just blow it, and that's it. If I've blown it, I've blown it. They won't go, oh, maybe he was having a rough day. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it just wasn't, you know, the right part for him. Maybe like they don't talk to you. Like, you know, some auditions I've walked in, I've literally walked through the door, and the casting director's gone, nope, too tall. See you later. And I've had to turn around and leave. And like, you know, like,
you know who else is very
just
tall? Who's supposed to be tall is James Bond. So I think that's a really good role for you.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm working on the side part, and I just need to age up a little bit more. I'm getting there.
I don't know.
One day the world
How old are
will
you?
catch up with me. I'm 34.
You're
But I
34.
look like I'm 23.
Dude, you're like the perfect age for a young Bond, like 34. Like,
A young Bond.
I think that's the same age as Timothy Dalton was when he was Bond. He was like 34, 35,
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
and he wasn't very good.
I think he's highly underrated. I think he's better than Pierce Brosnan. Pierce Brosnan is
Steady on. I mean, Pierce and I went to the same drama school. There's a brethren there that we need to be careful about. Okay,
he's overrated in my opinion. Or at least at least his Bond is overrated. That's what I'd say.
Okay. Like, it's hard for me. Like, I grew up on Pierce Brosnan as Bond, right? He was like, GoldenEye was like, I remember playing the game on the N64 like day in and day out.
GoldenEye was the only good Bond movie he was in, though. The other ones all sucked. That's the problem.
Yeah, but that's not Pierce's fault.
True, but I also think he looks too much like tall Tom Cruise, at least as Bond.
He was great in Mrs. Doubtfire. Let's just leave it at that.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that.
Yeah, so no, I mean, I get that. GoldenEye, yeah, I probably do pin more on GoldenEye than look at the rest of his repertoire. I mean, it's not his fault they gave him an invisible car. That was just ridiculous. And, you know, he actually worked with one of the best actors, probably one of the best Bond villain actors, other than the villain, Jonathan Rice.
I'm kidding.
No, Jonathan Price. Sorry, Jonathan Price. He's a phenomenal actor. Other than, yeah, Jonathan Price was the bad guy in The World Is Not Enough.
Okay. Dude, there were so many great villain actors in Bond, though. Like,
there are. Christopher Lee.
Christopher Lee. I was thinking Christopher Lee immediately. Yeah. And even though that movie itself wasn't very good, he was great in it.
Christopher Lee's a phenomenal actor. Like, he would be great in it. Yeah, there are. But I think Jonathan Price, managed to help keep that film grounded to a degree. Him and Pierce, they had a hard task about them.
We should do a whole podcast separately
We
on
could
James Bond.
on Bond,
like a whole, because actually my wife and I just watched all the Bond movies right before the last one came out. We watched every single one.
That's a good marathon. I haven't seen the new one yet. I'm planning to go this weekend.
All right, it's I'll just say there's some interesting things that happen in it, and it's not my favorite Bond movie, but I think it was good. We'll still leave it at that. We'll leave it as good. Cool.
I mean, there's been enough delay on it. Yeah. Anyway, so like I could go in and blow an audition, right? And there's no forgiveness. Like it's not a safe environment out there. Whereas at least with clients, like, you know, because you're dealing with a much deeper level of humanity, you can be a bit more human. But you are right. Like you have to be ready to show up. You have to be able to just turn it on. Like in the same way, like, you know, if you're doing a show for 100 times, like a play, you can't phone it in. You can't phone in your coaching. You have to be listening. You have to be switched on. You have to be present. You have to be understanding. You have to be there with them because that's what they pay for. And there's an awful lot of lessons, especially listening and taking the energy you're receiving and giving it back to them and being able to reflect that energy and comprehend it and reshape it and move it forward in a conversation that's live is a very important thing to be able to do as a coach. And yeah, there are certain analogies with it. It's not easy. It's tiring. It's very tiring. Like, you know, I woke up at 5:30 this morning because of the podcast, but also, you know, I wake up to a client having a meltdown because, you know, her workout didn't feel as good this week as it did last week. And like, you know, you're waking up at 5:30 and bang, you're like, oh God, I shouldn't have read that email, but I have. Now I need to respond to it. And you go in again and bang, 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 typing away. And you're just, you know, there to support them all the time. And, you know, I mean, the burnout can be real, very much so. Like I've just gone through a period of kind of just, you know, really kind of low creativity. And I think that's where the burnout always shows first on me. It's just that creativity. I never miss appointments. I never miss meetings. I never miss sending out stuff. I never miss those things. Yep, never. Someone books in with me, I'm there. But the bit that suffers is obviously the creative side of my business and the side that you know requires that more kind of dynamic thought, I suppose. Like I'm a natural born coach. I was born a coach. I was born an actor, but I was lucky enough when I went to drama school, I was around some amazing coaches and I learned an awful lot about coaching intuitively from them in terms of how to become an actor. And I've taken an awful lot of that forward into my coaching with clients. And then that's helped shape me as a coach. And I've always been a pretty good listener. And I've always been very good at being able to mold and shape the thoughts of people in order to turn into a positive action. So when you have a natural talent, obviously I have to craft that talent. I've spent years practicing that and learning how to do that. But like I didn't know fitness. So when I became a personal trainer, I honestly, I don't think I probably had done a barbell back squat. I definitely had never done a deadlift in my life. When I became a personal trainer, I'd probably only been to a handful of personal training sessions myself, but I enjoyed fitness, mainly because of the refereeing. And I knew this was probably the best way in which to help someone in the manner I wanted to help them. So I've had to learn fitness from the ground up, like similar to my clients. I had to learn what a deadlift was. I've had to like work my form through. I've had to learn all the cues. I've had to, you know, even learn what a calorie deficit was. Like I just didn't know this stuff. I trained to become a personal trainer first, and then had to learn fitness. Like it's a very bizarre way of doing it because most people become a personal trainer because they love fitness and they know everything there is to know about it. But I was the complete opposite. I knew everything there was to know about coaching people, probably not everything, but I knew a lot, probably more than your average personal trainer. But my God, have I had to work hard to learn fitness. And luckily my clients have come with me on that journey. And it's been a really wonderful way of learning that, and kind of like not a breeding ground, like a learning ground, because they learned with me and I learned with them. And, you know, we was on the floor and I'd be like, let's do this. Let's see how it works. And I'd learn, work it. And I've literally learned hands-on. I've like done an apprenticeship almost, I suppose, rather than having I'm not a very fit person myself. I'm a very normal guy. And so, yeah, that's kind of how it shaped it. you know, but the coaching and the motivational interviewing and all that side of things, and the talking and the listening and being empathetic is the bit of fitness that, or the bit of coaching that I have for nothing. But I didn't want to be a life coach. Like life, I can't stand the term life coach. So I wanted to make sure that it was grounded in something realistic, i.e.
Yeah,
fitness.
that's interesting.